G'day everybody, and welcome to today's MessageMedia webinar. Today we're going to be having a look at the new MessageMedia web portal. We're going to be going through some of the core features and having a general discussion about some of the nuances between the new portal and the manager portal that many of you are familiar with. We understand that a lot of our attendees today may have been using the MessageMedia service previously on an email to SMS or an API only basis. That said, the new portal has got some really fantastic developments around reporting, which even if you're not using the portal to send messages, you'll hopefully find the reporting suite really interesting and useful as well. Just to cover off a few bits and pieces regarding the webinar today. The first point, a little bit redundant, because if you are having problems hearing, then you probably can't hear me say this, but just make sure that you've got your computer audio turned on if you're having issues hearing today's webinar. All of our attendees today are on mute, so while you can't chime in and speak to us, you can talk to us via the GoToWebinar panel. Just ask your questions within the questions section. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and fold those questions into our conversation today. If we don't get to your question, it may be that it's extremely specific to your own use case, or we just aren't able to fit it in for time. Don't worry, we can reach out to you after the webinar and address your question individually. We're also going to be putting up an FAQ page on our support site, all about the migration, which will, well, the upgrade, sorry, which will cover off a lot of the questions we covered today. And also to let you know, the webinar is being recorded. So that if you do need to, if you do want to come back and watch it later, or share the recording with your team and colleagues, you'll be able to do so. And that recording will also be posted on our support site. Joining me today, I'll introduce myself first. My name is Ronnie Howard. I'm a customer experience specialist at MessageMedia. With me today, I've got Jack Daly, who is our product manager. Are you there, Jack?
Yep. Hi. Good
morning. And also we have Lawrence Spataro, a customer support specialist. Good morning, Lawrence.
Howdy.
Cool. So we'll kick things off. I guess the first question for you, Jack, it's probably the most pertinent. Why are we doing this? Why are we upgrading, and why now?
Yep, so we've had the new Hub web portal available for a couple of years now. We've been gradually migrating all of our customers over to it. So the manager portal that most of you are currently using has been in service for close to a decade now, and is definitely starting to show some signs of wear. So we built the new portal just to offer a much more improved feature set and easier user experience, while also making it on sort of a better technology that's going to be more sustainable moving forward. So it's definitely our flagship web product right now. We want to move everyone onto it so they can take advantage of all of the new features that we're developing. Additionally, the new web portal has much more frequent releases. Sort of every month we're in there adding in new tools, new features, as well as fixing bugs. So it's definitely much better supported.
Fantastic. And we're going to come back and have a quick conversation about that regular update schedule later in the webinar. But that's really exciting. So look, let's get in and have a look. So I'm just going to flick my screen over. So, okay, Jack, I'm a new user. I'm logging in for the first time. What am I looking at here? Tell me all about what I'm seeing.
I don't think it's switched over to the right screen there. Sorry, Ronnie.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are we looking at?
Still looking at the slide.
Let me end the slideshow, and hopefully that should. Is that working now?
Not yet.
No. There we go. Okay, better?
Cool. Yep, got it. So yeah,
okay.
So what we can see here now is the main dashboard. So that's on the login screen as soon as you enter into the new web portal. So the first thing you'll notice is probably the graph in the center there. So that shows all recent inbound and outbound usage from the account over the last 7 days. So you can get an immediate sort of idea of how your sending's tracking. On the right-hand side there, you've also got a panel sort of giving you a bit more detailed breakdown on that specifically for today and over the last month. There's also a couple of configuration options around API settings, email to SMS, and so forth. And then just down the bottom there, there's a list of recently received inbound messages that you may want to take a look at when you log in. Also on the left-hand side, we've got the main menu, which allows you to navigate to all of the different key areas of the portal, such as for sending messages, checking the inbox, managing contacts, running reports, and performing some account administration as well.
Fantastic. Just on, you mentioned down here on the right-hand side, Jack, around API keys and email to SMS. Does this mean I can manage my API keys within the portal?
Yep, so any customers that are using our REST API can generate new sets of API keys from there. They can also manage their existing ones as well. And similarly with email to SMS, any of the customers that are using that are able to manage those settings from the portal as well.
Excellent, okay. All right, so sending messages. So I want to send a quick message to one or two contacts. What's the best way to do that?
Yep, so the easiest way to just send a quick message to someone is to click the quick message button in the upper right there. So that's on every page. And then as you can see, a little pane has just popped out on the right-hand side there with a field where you can type someone's phone number in. You can see it gives you a little preview and it checks for any contacts on your account that are matching that phone number as well. So you can quickly add those in. And then below that, there's the field where you can start typing in your message. So you can just quickly type the message in there. There's also a drop-down list if you wanted to select a template that you already had saved on the account, as well as an add unsubscribe button if you wanted to quickly add in an unsubscribe message, just saying, reply stop to opt out, something like that. And then also just below that, you've got a count of how many characters you're using on this message, as well as letting you know how many messaging credits are going to be used to send this message. And then, yeah, below that, there's a send message as soon as you're ready to send that out.
Done. Nice. Okay. All right. So what about a bulk message? So let's say I've got a database of people that I want to send notification to that their invoice is due. So if I've got let's say this is it. So I've got my database here all lined up and ready to go with my invoice numbers and amounts. How do I send that broadcast out?
Yep, so the best way to do that is to go to the messaging section on the left-hand menu there and then select the new message option. So you can use this tool for sending just one or two messages as well, but it's really where you want to go for sort of the larger messages as well. It's definitely the most powerful way to do that. So this has changed quite a bit from the manager portal, so we might just sort of run through it step by step. So the first thing you'll see up the top there is the sender and recipient section, and the first item there being the send ID. So this is the new feature to the portal where you can now choose what number your messages get sent from. So there's the account default, which as you can see for this account is the shared numbers pool. So that just means we'll randomly select a number for you. But say you had one or more dedicated numbers assigned to your account, you could select from those to send all of those messages out from the fixed number. Or if you had your business name registered as something that you could send from a branded message like that, you could select that from that drop-down list there as well.
Cool. And I can see here I can actually request dedicated numbers and set up my alpha tags straight from within this section, right?
Correct. So if you don't have a dedicated number or alpha tag on your account, but you would like one, you can request that from there.
Fantastic. So Lawrence, this bit better, well, a bit different, a little bit better than what we've seen in Manager. What's the main call out here?
Yeah, I guess the main benefit here in the call out that I would say I've got two, and the first one is that we didn't have this visibility in Manager, so you couldn't see or change it. So that's a big step up, having that transparency, knowing who you're sending from, being able to change it. I guess the other call out is when you're using quick message at the top that Jack was showing us before. That quick message, you'll notice that if you click on it, it won't have the ability to configure the sender ID. So when you're sending a quick message, just to keep in mind that it will always send from default sender ID. And you can change the default sender ID as well, and that's in a different settings section that we can get to later.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So, all right, Jack, I've got my sender ID set up, so what's next?
Cool. So next step is to add your recipients. So again, you can see that we've got the same recipients box here, and that works in all the same ways that it did on the quick message. But the other option that we've got now is to add contacts specifically from an address book pop-up. So we can either select individual contacts or a group of contacts if we had those selected as well. The other option that we've got available here now is to upload a Excel spreadsheet of phone numbers like the one that you showed earlier. So if we wanted to do that, we would just click import from file, select button, and then choose the spreadsheet here. all of the same number formats that were supported in the Manager portal are supported here as well. So if you've already been uploading spreadsheets into Manager, you'll be able to continue doing that without having to make any changes to the spreadsheet itself.
Cool. And once I've done that, I'm just looking, normally we'd have to sort of tell the system where the contact numbers are. I'm noticing that it's picking it up automatically.
Yep. So the new portal is more often than not able to automatically detect which column the phone numbers are in. So you can see in this case, it's figured out that because one of the columns is called contact number, that's the one where the phone numbers are stored in. If we did want to change that for any reason, we can just select from that drop-down list there to change it to another column. But obviously, we don't need to do that at the moment because it's already selected the correct one. You can see there's already a selected checkbox up the top there as well, just saying file contains column titles in row 1. So that's just indicating that there are column headings in the first row of the spreadsheet. If we didn't have those, we could obviously uncheck that. Another new option that we've got is the select additional metadata for reporting checkbox down the bottom. That is optional, but what this allows us to do is store data from our spreadsheet into the system to be used in reporting later. So if we wanted to say record the invoice number or the invoice amount against every message that was sent out to make that explicitly available in reporting later without having to get it from the message content, we can do that. That is optional though, as it says there.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's get on with the message. So a couple of options here. I can see there's MMS availability as well. Is that a standard feature?
Yep, so that's another option that is available now in the new portal. So yes, it is available to all customers using the new portal, though it is priced a little bit differently from SMS. So I just recommend getting in touch with your account manager if that is something that's interested to you. But yeah, all you need to do to send the MMS is to select that option there and then upload your image that you want to use as an attachment. So sort of all of the standard file formats, JPEG, PNG, GIF, etc., are supported. And then you would just compose the rest of your message the same way that you would on an SMS. So if we just go back to that, we can go through and compose one now.
Okay. So personalization. So I want to use the information in the spreadsheet. So what have I got to do?
Yep, so the way you do that is you would just select the file columns drop-down list that we've got there, and then you can instantly select any of the columns that you've got there, and you can see that it's merged that field in. You can also see, obviously, we've got the preview phone on the right there, just giving you an idea of what the message is going to look like to your recipients, and we can see in there that when you're adding in those merge fields that it is pulling the data from your spreadsheet correctly.
Okay, and if I've got templates for these sorts of messages set up already in my account in Manager, are they going to be here when I log into the new portal?
Yep, so all of the data that you have on your old Manager account, so contacts, templates, contact groups, message history, etc., all of that is going to be migrated across and will be available in the new portal when you log in. If you did want to use a template when you're sending the message here, you can just select from the templates drop down immediately above that message box there. You can see there's a list of all of the templates on the account.
Great stuff. And no change to format. So is there a change to the way that the personalized fields work? Is there a different convention, or is it going to pick up as well?
No, that's all the same. So we take care of that during the migration. So you will be able to just keep uploading the same spreadsheets that you always have. Similarly, if you are using personalized data from contacts, and say you're sending to a group of contacts and you are merging in their first name into the message, that will all be taken care of as well. You'll be able to continue doing that in exactly the same way.
Fantastic. Now, Lawrence, I'm just noticing that the message preview here on the right-hand side is a bit of a step up from Manager, isn't it?
Most definitely. It's actually one of the most exciting things, I believe, in terms of the message experience, is that now you can actually see what it's going to look like before you send it. And not only that, but if you have a document like we've got here, an Excel document or a CSV document, you can actually go just below that phone on the triangle just there, and you can select that triangle and see the first 5 previews of the ones that are in your document. So oh, hey, actually, yeah, this is pulling the right data and it looks correct. So you don't need to worry about, oh, hey, is this going to look good? Maybe I have to send it to myself. You can still send it to yourself, which is good, and we can get to that in a second. But yeah, it's quite an improvement. I really like the fact that you can choose to match your own columns if you want to. And also, I really like that little tick box makes a big difference about headlines. That headlines is something that definitely been asked a couple of times, and that's an improvement too. So all round, definitely a better experience. And also that little last bit at the bottom about the additional metadata. Something that really stuck out to me with the additional metadata, a lot of times when people are sending documents, when people are sending information across, and then they realize when they get the response and they want to do reporting, and they realize, oh no, I have to go back to the original document that I used and cross-check it in Excel. It used a lot of time up. That's no longer necessary. So it's a big step up.
Okay, fantastic. Right, let's press on. I'm just going to keep an eye on time as well, so let's keep moving. So Jack, what's my next step?
Yep, so next is the message details section. So the first item in here is the broadcast name. So you can see we've pre-populated that with the default name, just like we did in Manager. But if you did want to give it a specific name, just to make it easier to find in reporting and message history, you can do that as well. You'll also see that you've got the option to send all messages at once, or if you go from that drop-down, you can select a period to sort of trickle them out gradually over a period of time. That can be very useful if you're sending out a very large number of messages that you're expecting replies to, and you don't want to get flooded with replies all at once. You can trickle the messages out. Obviously, if they're going out gradually, the replies will come back gradually as well. And then below that, you've got the option to either send the messages immediately, or if you wanted to schedule them for a later time and date, you can do that as well.
Excellent. I can see here I can make this message recurring. So if my invoice cycle is pretty solid, I can continue to have this message sent out, right?
Yep, exactly. You can set up a recurring broadcast, so that'll send the exact same message to the exact same recipients every iteration that you set. So it can be really useful for sort of sending regular reminders. Maybe it's a birthday message to someone, or maybe you're sending a message to your staff at the end of each week asking them to fill out their timesheets. It's really handy for things like that.
Great. Okay. All right. And okay, so I want to make sure that I've got everything right. So Lawrence, you mentioned I can send a message to myself. Where's
Sure
that?
can. It's just down the bottom on the right where it says send test.
Okay. Fantastic. And then I'm just hitting the send, and that's my number.
Yep.
Great. And that'll just come through to my phone, and there it is, all good. And I noticed that the personalized fields are showing as blank fields, which is to be expected because the system doesn't have all that information for me. So that's all good. And Jack, I've noticed here as well, I can save this message as a draft.
Yep, so that's another new feature of the Hub portal that wasn't previously available in Manager. If you start working on a broadcast but you're not quite ready to send it yet, you can hit save as a draft, and then it will be stored on your account, and you can immediately go back to it from the draft section of the message under messaging on the left-hand menu. And that will bring you right back into this new message interface with everything saved for when you're ready to send it out.
Cool. And just something that's missing from here, there's no option to ask for a read receipt. Is that something that we can configure?
Yes, it is. So by default, delivery receipts are available and enabled in the new portal. However, if you wanted to either force them on or off, you can do that under account settings.
Okay, we'll have a look at that in a bit. But can I still, would I be able to see a message has been delivered? Can I see if it's been read?
Unfortunately, you can't see if it's been read, so that is not something that SMS supports, unfortunately, though we do still support delivery receipts. So you'll be able to see in reporting it that your messages have been delivered to your recipients at least.
All right, fantastic. Well, let's get this one sent away. And all is well, and hopefully all those numbers I've used are dummy numbers, and some random people haven't just received a message from me asking to give me money. There we go. All right, fantastic. So I've sent my message. Let's say now people are going to send me responses. How can I capture responses?
Yep, so there are a few different ways that you can view responses in the new portal. The best option is to go to the inbox section on the left-hand menu there. That'll bring you to our new inbox that we've got in the hub here. So you can see that it functions quite similarly to an email inbox, where on the left-hand column, you've got a list of all of the replies that you've received in order of newest to oldest. And this is all in real time. So as soon as someone sends you a message back, it will immediately appear in here. And then if we were to select one of these messages, it will populate the entire conversation history with that recipient on the right-hand section. So we can see, obviously, running this, the reply that you've just sent to yourself has come through here as well. And we can see that that's right down the bottom there, flagged as a new message, but we've also got the full conversation history with you there as well. So if you wanted to send a reply to yourself, you can do that immediately and just type that into the box there and hit send, and that allows you to have, you know, really quick and easy sort of one-on-one conversation with an individual recipient. You also have options up the top right there to close or unsubscribe that contact. So say, you know, the person had been messaging you about a particular inquiry that was resolved and you didn't need that that conversation thread sort of taking up space in the inbox anymore. You can just hit the close button, and that will move the conversation over to the closed section on the left-hand list there, so it won't be taking up space, you know, amongst other messages that you may still need to action. Additionally, if you were to hit unsubscribe in the upper right, that would add the number to your block list, which would automatically close the conversation as well. So again, you know, anyone who opts out of messages that you're sending them, you know, they will just immediately go over to close. So again, they're not taking up space around some of your more important messages that you still need to action.
Got you. Okay. Handy as. And so that's viewing a conversation. What if I want to see a summary of just individual messages that have been sent?
Yep, so the way you can do that is if under the messaging section on the left-hand menu, you can go to received messages. And similarly to what we saw on the dashboard when we first logged in, we get a list of all of the messages that we've received on this account, who they're from, what they've said, and the date and time that their response has come in, again, ordered from newest to oldest. And you've got the option to do a quick reply to any of these people as well, if you did want to do that.
Fantastic. And if in the previous system, if I was receiving reply forwards into my email as well, does that still apply in the new platform?
Yes, so if you were receiving your replies forwarded to you as an email before in the old system, that will still be happening in the new system, so those reply notifications will be coming across as well. Additionally, if you weren't receiving reply notifications in the old system but would like to start receiving them, that's something that you can configure in the new portal as well.
Excellent, okay. And just to reiterate, just around the sending of the message, so the various ways we can send, so we can send immediately, or we can load a message and have it locked and loaded, ready to fire, but then use the message scheduling function to then set the timer as to when that message will go. I'm assuming in the scheduled message section, do I have the ability to edit a scheduled message?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. So this is another thing that's new to the Hub portal. So in this scheduled page, you can see all of your scheduled broadcasts. And then if you just click on the sort of the three dots at the end of any row there, you have the option to either edit or delete that scheduled message. And if you select edit, again, it just brings you straight back into this message composer screen, and you're able to change any and all aspects of that message.
Excellent, okay. Save that one. Thank you very much. I get this ready for the past. All right, all good. Yeah, take me out. There we go. All right. Now, Lawrence, just regarding that inbox feature. So a couple of improvements over the last system, right?
Yeah, I guess the theme is transparency here. So the biggest thing that I would call out is that in the past, the inbox wasn't live really. It was updated every 5 minutes. This is live, so when you get a reply back, you get that reply immediately. It's a big change, and it's worth noting. Also, there's the ability to set desktop notifications for when you get a response, which is cool. And that's
so available. How do I do that?
Yeah, so that's available at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Your name, right up the top near your name there, and profile.
Fantastic. And there it is.
The bottom there, yeah, new inbound notifications, and you can set that into a text notification.
Okay. There you go. There's the sound. And so the notifications that come up, so we've got three different types. So the sound we've heard, the desktop notification, that's pretty straightforward, right? There's a little pop-up tells me I've got a message. I'm assuming with that, I'm going to have to give my browser permission to show notifications, otherwise it won't work. And then badge on browser tab, what does that mean?
Sorry?
So that just means that while you're if you're in the browser yourself, if you select that, rather than a notification appearing on the desktop itself, or perhaps in addition to, if you had those selected as well, it just means at the top of your browser, an icon will appear on that tab, letting you know, hey, there's something on this tab that you need to take a look at.
Got you. Fantastic. Cool stuff. All right. Well, let's move it on. So we've talked about sending messages to contacts. Let's talk about contact management and managing lists and groups and all sorts. So Jack, where do I find all of that?
Yep, so if you go to the contact section on the left-hand menu, there are two options, one for contact groups and all contacts. So if we go into all contacts, we can see a list of all of the contacts that are on this account. So we can see they've got the phone number, their name, their email address. Something else that's new in this portal is the ability to add custom fields against all of these contacts. So if we want to store, let's say, a customer ID or maybe a location that was relevant to them, we can do that very easily. You can also see, we've got the last modified date, and again, we've got those 3 dots on the end there if we wanted to edit the details of any individual contact. And yeah, as I said earlier, all of the contacts will be migrated over, so you won't have to do anything for that. If we were to go into contact groups, we can then manage all of the groups of contacts that we have on the account. So again, we can see all of these listed here. We can see how many contacts are in each group. We can also see how many unsubscribed contacts there are in each group as well, just so we can keep track of that. There's also another new item here, which is the group email. So if we were using the email to SMS feature and wanted to send an email to SMS message to an entire group of recipients, rather than manually entering the email to SMS email address for every individual recipient in my group, I can just put in this group email, and then when I send my email to that, all of the recipients in that contact group will receive the SMS.
Fantastic. Okay. And looking at the individual contact profile, so pretty straightforward. All of my information fields are here. I can assign and remove from groups and all sorts. That's great. Now the custom fields you mentioned are here, so I can use those fields for anything I want, right?
Correct. So you can put any data points that are relevant to you. You can include in those custom fields. And as I touched on while we were doing the message composition, if you wanted to merge any of those fields as data into your message content, you're able to do that as well.
Excellent. And of course, I can see I've got the subscribe and unsubscribe options there as well. Lawrence, question for you just on contact and migrating contact information into the platform. So I believe in Manager we had a first name, last name field. Is that going to be translated over into contact profile? Because I understand that sometimes we were using that for other information other than the customer name. So will that data come across?
Yes, that data will come across. So we'll be using custom field 1 if you have something other than the name listed there.
Fantastic. All right. And in terms of organizing groups, so Jack, to create a group, and I can see it's pretty straightforward. I've got my group name. I can create a new group, and then so if I put that in there, do I have to enter a group email when I create a group, or can I leave that blank?
No, that's completely optional. So if you're not using the email to SMS feature at all, and adding a group alias is not relevant to you, you can just leave that blank.
Okay. If I leave it blank, can I come back and populate that field later?
Yes. So when you come back and edit the group, you're able to amend the group alias.
Beautiful. Okay. Awesome. Now, what about importing contacts? How do I do that in this platform?
Yep, so the way you do that is just click on the Import Contacts button. You can see just there in the upper right. And then when that happens, you'll be asked, very similar to what we saw when we were going to send the message, just to upload a new file. You'll see at the top there as well, you've also got the option to import the contacts as either subscribed or unsubscribed. So if you say had a list of recipients from another system that had cancelled or advised that you didn't want to message them, you can upload those directly onto your blacklist as well to make sure that no messages can get sent out to them. But yeah, so now that you've imported your list here, again, we're just asked to match up what column in the spreadsheet we want matched to each field. You can see once again, we've been able to automatically detect which column the phone numbers are in. And now, yeah, you can just go through and match up any of these other fields that are relevant to you.
Fantastic. Just a quick question on unsubscribe. So if a contact unsubscribes, they're not deleted from the system, right? They stay there, and I can still access that profile and
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah, they're still in the system. You can still see them, see all of their details. It's just that any messages that you attempt to send to them will be automatically blocked.
Got you. Okay. Handy to know. All right. Awesome. So, all right, well, that pretty much covers contact management. That's really handy. The other last thing, I suppose, is I can export. If I wanted to export a list of my unsubscribed contacts, can I do that?
Yep, so the way you would do that is you would filter on unsubscribed contacts just by selecting from that status drop down there, and you would choose unsubscribed. And then if you click export contacts, that will export a CSV file of all of the unsubscribed contacts on your account.
Okay, and then it's just a matter of downloading from the drop down, and there it goes. Okay, fantastic. Yep. All right, so let's move on. So one of the key things about the new portal, and I know we've covered this in some of our email communications to our audience, is around account structure. So Jack, walk me through how I can structure my account, adding users, creating accounts, etc., and what I need to be aware of.
Yeah, so obviously in the old manager portal, every single user was quite segregated from the rest. They had their own login details, all of their contacts and templates and so forth were separate as well. That can still be the case in the new portal, but it no longer has to be. So we've kind of split users from the old system into sort of two entities now. There's users and there's sub-accounts. So if we go to a page on our support articles here, we can take a look and sort of see some of the different account structures available. So you've got the parent account, which can just have a whole heap of people logging in as users, all sharing the same contacts, templates, and so forth. But if we wanted to, we could split those up into different sub-accounts. So you've got the parent account, and you can see there in that second example, we've got a few different sub-accounts set up. So this could be quite useful, say, if you had different departments within your organization that you wanted to track usage of separately. So we can split all of those up into different sub-accounts and have different users under each of those. Or if you wanted to have a few users that were using the top level parent accounts and then everyone else under different sub accounts, that's possible as well. And if a user is a user, a user can be a user of more than one different account. So say there's someone who works with two different departments within the organization, the account administrator can give that user access to both of those relevant sub accounts so they can switch between them as need be. And a user will only have visibility over accounts and sub-accounts that they have been given access to by their administrator. So by default, they can only see the things on the account that they've been given access to.
So in the hub, or in the web portal, we call it the hub, but the web portal. So this is telling me which, so if I'm a user on several accounts, this will tell me which account I'm currently logged into.
Yep, exactly.
So switch between the multiple accounts that I may be a part of.
Correct. So on that list, you can just select the relevant sub account that you need to switch between, and yeah, you can switch very easily from there. Additionally, if you go into the account section and the left-hand menu, it is possible to see as an administrator all of the sub accounts that are on the account, and you can log into any one of those that's relevant to you as an administrator. You can also add a new sub account at the top there. Now, by default, as I mentioned, sort of all of the in the manager system, a user and a sub account were one and the same, and that is what we're going to be bringing across as when we migrate all of the customers. So when they log in, it'll still continue to be exactly the same as it has been for them in manager. But if the administrator thinks that there's maybe a better structure for their organization when it comes to using the new portal, they'll be able to sort of reorganize the account a bit, sort of to maybe look a bit more like one of the examples we had in the support article. And then if we were to go to the users section as well, we can see all of the different logins that have access to this account. And if we wanted to add a new one as the account administrator, we can just click on the new user button in the upper right, and then we can invite a new user into the account. We can choose what level of permissions they have, whether they're an administrator or just a regular user. And we can also choose from that accounts drop down there what accounts they have access to.
Right. So what's the difference between an advanced user and a basic user?
So a basic user has a much more limited feature set. So when a basic user logs into an account, they can still send and receive messages as normal. They can still see contacts and templates on the account. However, they are only able to view messages that they personally have sent and received, whereas an advanced user is able to see messages that other users have sent and received on that same sub account. So again, going back to the example where we've got, say, maybe the billing department in an organization is all using the same sub account, and they all need to be able to see each other's messages so they can keep track of different inquiries coming in from different customers. We can have them all created as advanced users so that they can see the full message history of the account. On the other hand, if the organization wanted to make sure that everyone was only handling messages that were relevant to them, they could be added as basic users, and then that way they'd all be able to still use the same account, and the account administrator can very easily run a single report to see history of all users on the account. But the individual users, when they're going about their day-to-day sending messages, will only see those that they specifically have sent, as well as replies that have come into messages that they specifically have sent.
Oh yeah. So I think at this point, what I might just point out to our audience is that if you do have any questions or concerns about account structure, or you want to learn more about it, we'll come back to it at the end of the webinar. There is, you saw a bit of a snapshot of a support page. There is quite a comprehensive breakdown in the support site that talks through account structure and how to manage it. And of course, you can always contact us and ask us for help as well. So, but I'll cover that in a bit more detail at the end of the webinar. Okay. Account structure. So I've got a question for Lawrence. So if I've created a user who is basic or advanced, can I promote their user status within the system once I've created them?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So if you've created a user that's basic or advanced, if you want to change their user status, you just have to remove them and then add them as a new user.
Okay, so I can't take an advanced user and then make them an admin. They have to be removed and then re-invited as an admin.
Correct.
Got you.
So the best way to do that would be on the right-hand side of a user and the three dots, and then remove. And then once you've removed them, you can hit that the new user button at the top, the blue one, and that will actually send them an email which will re-invite them as a whatever user you would like to add them as.
Perfect.
Additionally, just calling back to the regular updates that I mentioned we make to this portal earlier, sort of in the next month or so, we'll be making some improvements to that feature as well, just to make it a little bit easier to more immediately change the permissions that an individual user has.
Oh, fantastic. Well, there you go. Perfect example of why we're doing this upgrade. So that's great. Thanks, Jack. All right, I want to move on to reporting. I said at the start, this is something that's quite a vast improvement and a lot of people will get value out of it. So Jack, let's have a walk through the reporting section of the platform.
Yep, absolutely. So if you click on the reports button on the left-hand menu there, so there's a few different types of reports that we can run in the system. So we're going to start with the detailed reports. So if you click on that, that'll take you into a page where you can sort of view all of the message history from this account. So you can see, again, at the top here, we've got a couple of graphs just quickly showing you number of messages sent and received. And then below that, we've got a full log of all messages sent from the accounts. You've also got the option there to toggle over to a different tab to view a report of received messages as well. These reports contain all of the same information that was available in the manager portal. However, if you wanted to add a bit more data in, there's the columns drop down just above and to the right of that report. And from there, you can select and add additional columns into the report if those pieces of data are relevant to you. Again, something that we mentioned when we were looking at sending a message, we had the option to save data from our spreadsheet into message history for the reporting. This is where we can take advantage of that. So if we had saved some of those columns in the report, we would see them available in this list of columns to add into the report. So that can be quite handy. Now, if you wanted to modify the date and time range of this report, or maybe wanted to filter so that it only showed delivered messages or only showed failed messages, that can be done up the top there. So you can see, obviously, there's the options to select the date range that we run the report, and there's options to filter the message based on a particular sub account that's been sending. You can filter on a particular delivery status. And we can also filter even just on a specific contact if we wanted to only view messages that have been sent to a particular contact.
Cool. So if I wanted to see, for example, what messages have failed, there we
just
go.
click that and then click Apply Filters, and then that'll show it.
And then I can use the additional information to get more information around perhaps why that has failed, or to help me understand the nature of the failure. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. And can I send reports? Can I export reports to people from the system?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll see in the upper right there's a button labeled Email Report. So if you click that, a window will appear asking you to set the filters for your report. So you can just do this right away. You don't need to set them on the main page first, but you have options to access to all of the same filtering options that you had on the main page there. And then once that's done, you can then have that report emailed to as many people as you like.
Fantastic. Okay. And if I wanted to, so if I've got a group of stakeholders and I want to be able to send them this report on a regular basis, do I have to come and do this every single time?
No, so it's another new feature of the portal. So right next to that email report button that we've got there, we've got the schedule report button. And if we select that again, we've got all the same options that we had before when we were going to filter to email the report. But on top of that, we've also got the ability to schedule this report to be emailed to us on a regular basis. So we can run a report, say, for every week that gets delivered on Monday morning, so that we can immediately view all of the messages sent in the last week.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay. All right. So that's the detailed reporting covered. So what other reporting options have I got?
Yep, so the other one that's quite useful in this for administrators is the sub-account usage report. So if we go to that on the left-hand menu, we can see a report of all of the different sub-accounts that have been sending and receiving messages on the account recently. So this can be quite useful for admins looking to immediately get an idea of sort of where messaging is taking place in their organization. So you can see a list of all of the sub-accounts that have sent outbound and received inbound messages and how many of those have occurred. There's a graph that's sort of showing the sub-account usage history as well. And then on the right-hand side there, you've got a list of cold accounts. So these are a list of sub-accounts that haven't sent any messages recently. So potentially those are sub-accounts that are no longer needed, and the admin might be able to tidy those up a bit if they think that they can be removed.
Fantastic. And I'm noticing I've still got my email report and schedule report. So does that apply now to the sub-account usage page as well?
Exactly. So if you were to select that, it'll send you, again, it'll just email you a report either as a one-off or on a regular basis, but it will send you the report that you've got set on this page here instead.
Excellent. Okay. And just looking at, so regards to scheduled reports, so I'm noticing there's an item here for them. So obviously all of my scheduled reports will appear.
Yep, so if you went to this page and you had one or more scheduled reports on your account, these would all appear here very similarly to the scheduled messages that we saw earlier. And again, if we wanted to edit those scheduled reports, we'd be able to do that as well. And as you've just demonstrated, there's even the ability to schedule a brand new report from here as well.
Brilliant. Okay. Fantastic. So, and the other things to look at, I suppose, we've got a user usage report.
Yep, so that's a bit similar to the sub-account report in that it shows a breakdown of how the account is being used. However, this time it's being broken down by web user rather than by sub-account. So again, we were talking about earlier how you can have multiple users all sharing the same sub-account. This way, the administrator can see which users are using the sub-account.
Let's see. Okay. Obviously, we haven't had much activity on this account, but that's because it's just me. So there we go. All right, excellent. Thank you very much for that. Now, I want to just cover, just talking a little bit, we've talked about some configurability within the platform. So I want to just touch very quickly on some of the account settings and some of the options that users will have available to them. So Jack, can you walk us through some of that?
Yep, so if we go into the account settings on the left-hand menu there, we can see a range of different options for the account. So the first one that we've got at the top there is the account name. So if we say, you know, again, we're breaking all these sub-accounts all out into different departments or locations, we can modify that to make sure that they all have relevant names that we can identify easily. We can set the time zone that this account is in, so that'll be used by default for when displaying timestamps and reporting, as well as when you're scheduling messages. There's some automatic unsubscribe keywords that we can set there. So if we wanted to say, you know, as soon as anyone texts back saying stop, we wanted to automatically add them to our blacklist, we can make sure that that's in there as well. So that way we don't have to manually go through and opt out people when they reply back indicating that they don't want to receive any more messages.
And just this has come up a few times in the drop down for opt-outs. Unsubscribed links. So what's the go with an unsubscribed link, and why would I use one?
Yep, so if you wanted to provide your recipients the ability to opt out, but didn't want them to reply back directly to you, you can instead send them a short URL, which will appear on their phone. Obviously, most people today have smartphones, so they'll be able to tap on that link, and that will take them to a mobile-friendly web page, which will just allow them to process and opt out back to your account. That can be quite useful as well if you're sending marketing messages from, say, an alpha tag, which does not support replies. So this way you can include the link so that your recipients still have the ability to opt out, thus making sure that all of your messaging is still compliant with all relevant government regulations.
Excellent. And then I see here, this is the general sort of account settings that we would expect around, you know, setting the sender ID, which we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. So there's all my options there for sending, and I see there I can also, from here, I can request dedicated numbers or alpha tags, and I notice I can use my own number as well. So that would mean that all the replies will come to my mobile. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. So you have the option to send the messages out from your, so that they appear as being sent from your personal phone number. And then obviously any replies that are going to those messages will be sent directly back to your personal phone number. So if you'd rather receive replies directly to your number like that, that's an option as well.
Cool. And this is an interesting one. I was looking at this the other day. So default message template. So talk me through this one.
Yep, so this, as you can see, is a list of all the templates that we have saved on the account here. So if we were to select one of these templates and then hit save, that means that by default, whenever we go to send a new message, this template will be selected as the message content. So you can see that's pre-selected there. So if I know that every time I'm going to go send a message, or maybe 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be sending using the exact same message template, I can pre-select that just to save me a bit of time when I go to compose my message. I just only have to select my recipients, my sender ID, and then I can send right away.
Excellent. So I can use that as a signature for all of my SMS messages, right?
Yep, exactly.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay. And here's what you talked about earlier around duplicate contacts. So as a default, we're having this option switched off. Is that right?
Yep, so obviously in the old manager system, duplicate contacts were permitted by default, and that could lead to some confusing instances where perhaps there were multiple versions of the same contact because a list had been uploaded multiple times. Now, as I said earlier, we will be bringing across all contacts exactly as they are, but moving forwards, the customers will have the option to allow or not allow duplicate contacts. And if duplicate contacts were not allowed, and someone attempted to upload a list of contacts that included a contact already on the account, rather than creating an additional contact, we would just replace the details of that existing contact with the ones from the new list. Because that's obviously, given that it's a new list, it's more up-to-date information.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jack. Well, that's a pretty great view of the platform. So, Jack, thank you for walking us through that. Lawrence, I've got a couple of questions for you just about the upgrade. So, first of all, with all of these new features and this nice shiny new platform, is it more expensive? Is there a change to the rates?
Yeah, that's a good question. No is the short answer. So there's no change to cost, there's no change to your billing, and when we do the upgrade, there'll be no interruption to your service.
Righto, so my billing cycle will not reset to the day of the upgrade, it will just continue on the same cycle as it has done previously?
That's 100% correct.
Fantastic. And in terms of help and support, so what options have I got? Like where can I find, we've talked about this support site, where do I find that, and what options have I got available to me?
Yeah, so the best port of call for you to get help at quickly, right at the top on the right hand side next to quick message, there's a help button. This database is amazing and we're continually upgrading it. It's quite large and it has everything you'd need in there. All you need to do is quickly type a search in the search at the top, or you can follow the links down below, and there's lots of user guide documentation and easy quick links there. And we'll be putting a page up specifically for this upgrade, frequently asked questions for this upgrade. So if you do have any questions that maybe weren't answered on this webinar, or you need to read a little bit more clearly with regard to account structure or anything else, that will be available here too. Your second point of call, if you're not quite getting that cut through or the answer you require, is obviously to reach out to your account manager or to us here. You can see the contact number below. It's in the help section there.
Fantastic. So a couple more questions about the upgrade process. So moving all of my data over into the new portal, am I going to lose any information, contacts, templates, message history, anything of that, or is that all coming over?
Absolutely not. It's all coming over, which is amazing. Yeah. So we're going to grab all the information that you had in your old web portal, and we're going to move it right across.
Excellent. And Jack, probably one last question for you. When is this all happening? When is the upgrade actually going live?
Yep, so the migration will be happening over the course of the next couple of weeks into early December. Everyone should have received an email with their specific migration date on it. If not, please just reach out to our support team and we'll be able to help you out there.
Excellent. Okay. Well, guys, look, thank you so much for your time and help with this today. It's greatly appreciated. So to just sort of recap for everyone who's joined this webinar today, so a reminder, the webinar is being recorded, so we will be able to host this webinar on our support site. If anyone is interested, what we're going to do is this page, Web Portal Upgrade FAQs, and that lives just here in the frequently asked questions site. You go to there, and what we're going to do is we're going to drop this webinar as a recording into this page, so everyone can have access to it, and we'll be able to share it with teams and colleagues, or just review at a later date prior to the upgrade going live. As Jack pointed out, so not everyone's getting upgraded on the same day. We are going to be doing this over the course of a couple of weeks. So check your emails. If you haven't received an email, check your junk folders. It might be sitting in there, but we've been communicating with everyone, letting them know when their upgrade is going to happen, right down to the day. And there's additional information in that email as well that will help you prepare. This support site is actually available as a standalone site. You don't have to access it through the hub. The web address is support.messagemedia.com, and that is all contained within the emails that we've sent out as well. So you can jump in here at any time from any day from now, whenever you want. Read through the articles and just get familiar with the new system before you get migrated. And just to reiterate as well, one last time, we are here to help you. We understand that there's varying degrees of involvement with the portal. Some people will notice no difference whatsoever because they're just using the API integration or email to SMS. But if you are involved in using the portal to send your messages, by all means, give us a call. If you want someone to give you a personal guided tour of the portal, if you want someone to have a look at your account and just to make sure that you're going to be okay, and to just talk you through any specifics around what you're going to need to be aware of moving forward, just contact us. In the support site, our number is always at the bottom of every page for whatever country you are in, and the support@messagemedia.com is a global web address, so you can just fling your inquiry over to there, and our support team, our support heroes rather, people like Lawrence, we'll be able to help you out and answer any questions you may have. But that is it for our webinar today. Thank you everyone for your time in joining us today and having a look at the portal. We really do appreciate it. And we wish you all the best, and we hope that you enjoy the new portal when it launches. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.